Tejo walked slowly through the massive doors of the Galactic Council chamber. His black diplomatic suit looked plain next to the bright colors and strange shapes of the alien delegates. The chamber was huge, with 12 tall seats arranged in a circle. Each seat was different, made for the body of each species that ruled parts of the galaxy. The human ambassador had been to this room many times before. Today felt different. The air was thick with tension. The other delegates whispered among themselves, their voices making strange sounds that his translator turned into words he could understand. Velthara, the leader of the Vorthak Empire, sat in the largest chair. Her skin was dark purple, and her forearms moved as she spoke to the others. She had called for this meeting. Tejo knew she wanted to punish humanity for growing too fast across the stars. The human problem must be solved today, Velthara said, her voice loud enough for everyone to hear. They take our planets, they steal our trade routes, they build weapons everywhere they go. Quindar, the crystal being from the Nixari worlds, made a sound like breaking glass. Their colonies grow like a disease. They change our beautiful worlds into copies of their dirty Earth. The other delegates nodded. Only Lumwei, the peaceful ethereal, stayed quiet. Her body glowed soft blue as she floated above her seat. Tejo waited for permission to speak. He had brought Somin with him, Earth's best scientist who studied alien life. She carried a datapad with information that could change their minds. At least he hoped it would. Ambassador Tejo may present humanity's defense, Velthara said, but her tone made it clear she had already decided. Tejo stood and walked to the center of the circle. The lights above made him feel small, but he kept his back straight. Honored council members, he began, humanity has always tried to be a good neighbor in the galaxy. We have shared our knowledge freely. We have helped worlds that asked for help. We have never attacked anyone without being attacked first. Lies, shouted Morgus, the fish-like delegate from the water worlds. Your ships patrol our borders, like hungry sharks. Those ships protect trade routes that benefit everyone, Tejo replied calmly. Pirate attacks have dropped by 80% since we started those patrols. Somin stepped forward. May I show the council our colony reports? She activated her datapad and images appeared in the air above them. Green worlds with clean cities. Happy alien settlers working alongside humans. Carefully preserved native animals and plants. This is Kepler 442b, Somin said. Before humans arrived, the soil was dying from acid rain. We fixed the atmosphere and helped local plants grow again. Now both human and Zephyrian families live there peacefully. You twist the facts, Quindar said. You make these worlds depend on human technology. That is control, not help. We teach our methods to anyone who wants to learn, Somin answered. Many worlds now use our farming techniques without our help. Velthara stood up, her forearms spread wide. Enough! We have heard these excuses before. Humans are dangerous. You breed too fast. You learn too quickly. You make the rest of us look weak. Tejo felt a cold weight in his stomach. This was not about facts or truth. This was about fear. What do you want from us? He asked quietly. Restrictions, Velthara announced. No more new colonies, no more than 3 ships per system. No trading with worlds that border our territories. No research stations beyond your current borders. The other delegates murmured agreement. Only Lumwei remained silent. These restrictions would kill our growing population, Tejo said. We need new worlds to live on. Not our problem, Morgus replied. You should have thought about that before you spread across our galaxy like a plague. Somin tried again. Our research has found cures for 12 major diseases. Our farming methods have ended hunger on 6 worlds. Our defense systems have protected 47 colonies from asteroid impacts. How is this harmful? Because you make us need you, Velthara said, her voice rising. And we refuse to need anyone, especially humans. The voting began immediately. Each delegate announced their choice. Velthara voted yes for restrictions. Quindar voted yes. Morgus voted yes. One by one, they all voted to limit humanity's future in the galaxy. Only Lumwei chose not to vote at all. 11 votes for restrictions, 0 votes against, 1 abstention, Velthara announced. The motion passes. Humanity will obey these new rules or face military action. Taeho stood quietly for a long moment. So-min looked at him with worried eyes. The chamber was silent except for the soft humming of alien technology. Finally, Taeho spoke. His voice was calm and clear. We came to the stars seeking friends. We offered our knowledge, our protection, and our friendship freely. We helped any world that asked for help. We shared our discoveries with everyone. He looked at each delegate in turn. Since cooperation is not welcome, we will respect your decision completely. Humanity will follow these restrictions exactly as you have written them. Velthara smiled, showing sharp teeth. Good. Finally, you understand your place. We understand perfectly, Taeho said. He bowed politely to the council. Thank you for making your wishes so clear. As Taeho and So-min walked toward the doors, Lumwei's soft voice reached them. Ambassador, I hope your people know that not all of us agree with this decision. Taeho turned back and nodded to the glowing figure. We will remember that, honored. Lumwei. Outside the chamber, So-min grabbed Taeho's arm. What are we going to do? These restrictions will hurt millions of people. Taeho looked up at the artificial sky above the council station. Stars twinkled in the distance, most of them controlled by the species that had just voted against humanity. We are going to do exactly what they asked, he said quietly. We are going to respect their decision completely. The two humans walked toward their ship in silence. Behind them, the council delegates celebrated their victory over the human threat. None of them wondered what would happen when humanity actually listened to their demands. 6 months after the council meeting, Commander Hyunwoo stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching screens that showed human colonies across the galaxy. Each screen displayed the same activity: careful, quiet packing. Status report from Sector 7, his communications officer announced. Colony New Sol has finished loading their ships. They are ready to leave. Sector 12 reports the same, another officer added. The research station there is empty now. Hyunwoo nodded. This was the biggest moving operation anyone had ever tried. 12 million humans lived on planets outside Earth's system. All of them were coming home. The order had come directly from Earth's government 3 days after Taeho returned from the council. Simple words. Pack everything, leave nothing behind, come home quietly. No one argued, no one protested. Humans began packing immediately. Dr. Ji Young worked without sleep on the research station above Proxima Centauri. She had spent 5 years here studying how different alien plants could help cure human diseases. Now she was putting all her research into locked boxes. Doctor, the Vortex scientists want to know why we are leaving, her assistant said. Tell them we are following the council's wishes, Ji Young replied, sealing another box. The council said they did not want human research in their territory. But this research helps everyone. The Vortex use our plant medicines too. Ji Young paused her packing. They can continue the research themselves. All the basic information is in their computers. What she did not say was that the real breakthrough discoveries were in her locked boxes. The Vortex had the simple information, but not the deep understanding that made it work. On the agricultural world of Kepler 442b, Dongmin supervised the removal of human farming equipment. The huge machines that turned dead soil into fertile ground were being loaded onto transport ships. A group of Zephyrian farmers watched nervously. Please, Dongmin, their leader pleaded. Leave the big soil processors. We need them for next year's crops. Dongmin felt sorry for them, but his orders were clear. The council said humans cannot have equipment in their territory. These machines are human-made, but we can buy them from you. The council also said we cannot trade with worlds that border their territories, Dongmin explained. Kepler 442b borders Vortex space. The Zephyrian leader looked confused. But without these machines, our crops will fail. Half our world depends on the food grown here. I am sorry, Dongmin said. You will need to find other ways to grow food. As the machines were lifted into the sky, Dongmin did not mention that building new soil processors would take the Zephyrians 15 years. He also did not mention that they did not know how to make the special nutrients the machines used. In the depths of space, Chief Engineer Minho floated inside a communication relay station. These stations allowed instant messages between different parts of the galaxy. Minho had helped design half of them. "Are we really taking all the quantum transmitters?" his teammate asked. "Council orders," Minho replied, carefully removing a crystal device. They said human technology must leave their space. But without these transmitters, messages will take weeks to travel between worlds instead of seconds. Minho shrugged. "They have their own communication technology. They can use that." He did not mention that alien communication systems could not handle the massive amounts of information that moved through the galaxy every day. The human quantum transmitters were the only things fast enough and strong enough for the job. On the trade world of Nova Hamburg, Captain Seok-jin watched human merchants close their shops. These humans had created the biggest marketplace in this part of the galaxy. Ships came from hundreds of worlds to trade here. "Captain," an alien merchant approached him. "Why are the humans leaving? This marketplace makes everyone rich. The council has decided they do not want human businesses in their territory," Seok-jin explained. "But who will run the markets? Who will organize the trade routes?" "That is not our problem anymore," Seok-jin said. "You will need to organize it yourselves." The alien merchant looked worried. "But the humans created all the systems. They know which worlds need what goods. They know how to prevent trade wars." "Then you will need to learn those things," Seok-jin replied. As his ship prepared to leave, Seok-jin deleted all the trade route data from the station computers. The council had said no human technology should remain. Back on his flagship, Commander Hyun-woo received reports from across the galaxy. Every human colony was evacuating. Every research station was closing. Every trade post was shutting down. "Sir," his intelligence officer reported, "some council worlds are asking questions. They want to know why we are really leaving." "Tell them the truth," Hyun-woo said. "We are following their instructions exactly. They voted for restrictions. We are respecting their vote." The Nexari delegate Quindar has sent 3 messages asking us to keep our crystal research facility open. Send a polite refusal. The council voted. We are obeying. What Hyun-woo did not say was that the crystal research facility was the only place in the galaxy that knew how to fix broken Nexari technology. Without it, their beautiful crystal cities would slowly crumble. On Earth, Admiral Yu-jin coordinated the return of humanity's children. Ships arrived every day filled with people and equipment from across the galaxy. "Are we really bringing everyone home?" she asked Taeho during one of their planning meetings. "Everyone and everything," Taeho confirmed. "The council was very clear. They do not want humans in their territory. We are giving them exactly what they asked for. Some of these people have lived on colony worlds their whole lives. This is hard for them." "Yes," Taeho agreed. "But the council has spoken. They find human presence threatening. We will remove that threat completely." In the Galactic Council chamber, Velthara received reports about human movements. "They are actually leaving," she announced to the other council members. "Every human colony is packing up." "Good," Morges replied. "Finally, they understand. They are not welcome." "It seems too easy," Quindar worried. "Humans do not usually give up this quickly." "Maybe they finally learned some respect," Velthara said. "Or maybe they know they cannot fight all of us at once." Only Lumwei remained quiet, her glow dimming with concern. Months passed. Human ships continued leaving council space. They took their people, their equipment, their knowledge, and their innovations. They left behind empty buildings and confused alien neighbors who had grown used to human help. The exodus was quiet and respectful. No human complained. No human protested. They simply packed their things and went home, just as the council had demanded. The council members felt satisfied. The human problem was solved. None of them asked what would happen when the humans were really gone. 3 years had passed since the last human ship left council space. Dr. Na Young sat in a hidden observation post beyond the galaxy's edge. watching screens that showed what was happening on the worlds humans had left behind. The news was not good. Another food shortage report from the Zephyrian worlds, her assistant reported. Their crop yields are down 60% this season. Young sighed. She had expected this, but it still made her sad. Any word from their government? Elder. Zevtai is asking other worlds for emergency food supplies, but most worlds are having their own problems. On the screen, Na-Young could see images from Kepler 442b. The green fields that Dongmin had helped create were turning brown. Without the human soil processors, the ground was becoming lifeless again. The Zephyrians had tried to build their own machines, but they did not understand how the nutrient systems worked. The Zephyrians were not stupid. They were good farmers who had grown food for thousands of years, but their world had been damaged by acid rain long ago. Only human technology had made it healthy again. Show me the Nexari crystal cities, Na-Young requested. The screen changed to show the beautiful crystal structures of Quindar's home world. But something was wrong. Parts of the city were dark. Some of the tall crystal towers were cracked. What happened there? Their self-repair systems are failing, her assistant explained. The crystals cannot fix themselves anymore. Na-Young nodded sadly. The Nexari had built their cities using living crystal that could grow and heal itself. But the crystals needed special energy waves to stay healthy. Human scientists had created machines that produced these waves. When the humans left, they took the machines with them. The Nexari had tried to build their own energy machines, but their copies did not work correctly. The energy waves were wrong somehow. Instead of healing the crystals, the bad energy was slowly killing them. On another screen, she watched the Corvin mining worlds. Chief Miner Corvin stood in front of a broken excavation machine, looking frustrated and scared. The quantum drills stopped working yesterday, he told his workers. That makes 12 machines this month. The workers looked worried. The Corvin economy depended on mining rare metals from deep underground. The mining machines were incredibly complex, using quantum energy to cut through solid rock without damaging the valuable crystals inside. Human engineers had designed these machines. They were the only ones who truly understood how quantum cutting tools worked. The machines came with instruction manuals, but the manuals could not explain everything. Wensu. Something broke in a quantum drill. It took an expert to fix it. The Corvins had some skilled engineers, but they had always depended on human technical support for the really difficult problems. Now the machines were breaking down one by one, and no one knew how to fix them properly. Sir, one of Na-Young's technicians called out. We are receiving a transmission from Captain Seok-jin's reconnaissance ship. Na-Young activated the communication system. Seok-jin's face appeared on the screen. He looked tired. What is your status, Captain? Na-Young asked. I have been monitoring the old trade routes, Seok-jin reported. The situation is getting worse. 3 trade wars have started in the past month. Trade wars over what? Everything. Food, fuel, rare metals, manufactured goods. Without the human trading posts to coordinate shipments, nobody knows where supplies are needed most. Na-Young had feared this would happen. The galactic trade network was incredibly complicated. Thousands of worlds produced different things and needed different things. Human merchants had spent decades learning which worlds had too much of something and which worlds needed more of it. The Hydron water worlds are flooding their neighbors with cheap water, Seok-jin continued. But they need food badly. The agricultural worlds have food, but they need metals for their farming equipment. The mining worlds have metals, but their machines are breaking down, so they need technology repairs. Cannot they trade directly with each other? They are trying, but they do not know how to set fair prices. The humans used to handle that. Now everyone thinks everyone else is trying to cheat them. Na-Young closed her eyes. The human traders had not just bought and sold things. They had been like referees, making sure everyone got fair deals. Without referees, the trading system was falling apart. Any word from Admiral Yu-jin? She asked. She is concerned but not surprised. The Admiral says we should continue monitoring and recording everything. But we are not to interfere unless someone is about to die. Even if we could help solve their problems? Especially then, the Council made their choice. They must live with the results. Nay Young understood, but it was still hard to watch. These alien species were not evil. Most of them were good people who just wanted to live peaceful lives, but their leaders had made a terrible mistake. "Doctor," her communications officer called. "We are receiving an emergency transmission from the ethereal delegate Lumwei." Na Young was surprised. Lumwei was the only council member who had not voted for the restrictions. She had tried to stay neutral, but now she was reaching out to humans directly. "Put her through, but use encryption. We do not want the other council members to know about this." Lumwei's glowing form appeared on the screen. She looked dimmer than usual, which meant she was very worried. "Dr. Na Young," Lumwei said softly, "I hope you are well." "We are fine," honored Lumwei. "How can we help you?" "I am afraid I must ask for help, though I know I have no right to ask. My people are facing a crisis that we cannot solve alone." "What kind of crisis?" "Our breeding pools are becoming poisoned. The young cannot survive in the water. We have lost 3 generations already." Na Young felt a chill. The ethereals were a peaceful species that lived partly in water and partly in energy form. They had very few children, and each child was precious to them. "Have you identified the source of the poison?" "We believe it comes from industrial waste in the nearby star systems, but we do not know how to clean the water safely. Your human scientists helped us solve this problem once before, many years ago." Na Young remembered the report. Human environmental specialists had designed a biological filter system that cleaned toxins from ethereal breeding pools. The system used special bacteria that ate the harmful chemicals. "Where are those bacteria now?" Na Young asked. "Gone. They died when the pollution stopped, and we did not think to preserve them. We thought the problem was solved forever." Na Young realized the mistake. The bacteria were designed to die when they ran out of toxins to eat. That prevented them from becoming an ecological problem, but it also meant they were not available when new pollution appeared. The other council members refused to ask humans for help, Lumwei continued. "They say we must solve our own problems, but our children are dying." Na Young felt torn. Her orders were clear. Do not interfere. Let the council face the consequences of their choices. But this was about innocent children dying. "Let me consult with my superiors," she said finally. "We will find a way to help your children without breaking the council's restrictions." "Thank you," Lumwei whispered. "I know we do not deserve your kindness." After the transmission ended, Na Young sat quietly in her chair. Around her, the monitoring stations continued recording the slow collapse of galactic civilization. Food, shortages, technology failures, trade wars, and now a species facing extinction. The Council had wanted to limit human influence in the galaxy. They had succeeded beyond their wildest dreams. Now they were learning what the galaxy looked like without human help. 5 years after humanity's departure, Velthara stood in her throne room on the Vorthak homeworld, staring at reports that made her stomach twist with worry. Her purple skin had grown pale, and her forearms shook slightly as she read. "Speak, plainly," she told her advisors. "How bad is it really?" Her chief economic advisor, a nervous Vorthik named Gorthak, cleared his throat. "Your Majesty, our economy has shrunk by 40%. 3 of our major colonies have declared independence because we cannot supply them with food or medicine. And our military? Half our starships are grounded for repairs we cannot complete. The humans took their technical manuals when they left." Velthara wanted to scream, but that would only make her look weak. She had been so proud when the Council voted to restrict humanity. Finally, the other species would see that the Vorthaks were strong enough to stand on their own. Now she wondered if she had doomed her people. Across the galaxy, Quindar floated in the ruins of what had once been the most beautiful city in Council, space. The crystal spires that had reached toward the stars for thousands of years were crumbling. Some had already fallen, crushing the smaller buildings below. "How long before the main palace collapses?" Quindar asked her engineers. "Maybe 6 months," one engineer replied. "Maybe less. The support crystals are dying faster than we can replace them." Quindar made a sound like wind chimes in a storm. Her people had built their entire civilization around living crystal technology. Without the human energy machines to keep the crystals healthy, everything was falling apart. Have we made any progress building our own energy generators? We have tried, but our copies do not produce the right frequencies. We think we are missing something important about how the energy waves work. What about asking the humans for help? The engineer was quiet for a moment. Your Excellence, the humans are not allowed in council space, and we are not allowed to trade with them. Quindar realized she was trapped by her own vote. On the water worlds of the Hydron Empire, Medical Chief Morges swam through hospital corridors filled with dying patients. A new disease was spreading through the aquatic population, something that attacked their breathing organs. How many new cases today? She asked her assistant. 247. That brings the total to over 10,000 across all our worlds. Morges had seen this disease before decades ago. Human xenobiologists had identified it as a mutated version of an old Hydron plague. They had created a treatment that stopped it from spreading and cured most patients, but the humans were gone now and they had taken their research with them. Have our scientists made any progress developing a cure? They are trying, but they do not understand how the human treatment worked. The medical records show what medicine to use, but not how to make it. Morges felt helpless. Her people were dying from a disease that could be easily cured, if only they had the knowledge that humans possessed. In the depths of space, the galactic communication network was failing. Messages that once traveled instantly between worlds now took weeks to arrive, if they arrived at all. Trade coordination was becoming impossible. Captain Seok Jin monitored these failures from his hidden reconnaissance ship. He reported to Admiral Yu Jin every week about the growing chaos in council space. 3 more communication relays went offline this week, he reported during their latest call. The aliens are trying to fix them, but they do not understand how the quantum transmitters work. Any progress on their end? Some. The Nexari have managed to create a basic communication system using their crystal technology, but it can only handle simple voice messages. No data files, no complex information transfers. Admiral Yu Jin listened to these reports with mixed feelings. She felt sorry for the aliens who were suffering, but she also felt frustrated with their stubbornness. Any signs that the council might ask for help? No, Admiral. If anything, they seem more determined to solve their problems alone. Velthera gave a speech last week blaming all their troubles on the lingering effects of human interference. She is blaming us for problems caused by our absence? Apparently. She claims that humans deliberately made the other species depend on human technology as part of a secret plan to control the galaxy. Admiral Yu Jin shook her head sadly. Even when faced with the consequences of their own choices, the council leaders could not admit they had made a mistake. What about Lumwei and the Ethereals? We have been quietly helping them clean their breeding pools, but we are very careful not to let the other council members know. Dr. Na Young created a plan to seed their water with beneficial bacteria, disguised as natural mutations. Good. We cannot let children die because of their leader's pride. Meanwhile, Trademaster Quindar tried desperately to prevent the collapse of interstellar commerce. Without human trading posts to coordinate shipments and set fair prices, the galaxy's economy was breaking down. The Zephyrians are refusing to trade with the Corvins, his assistant reported. They say the Corvins are charging too much for refined metals. And the Corvins? They say they have to charge more because their mining equipment keeps breaking down. They need the extra money to buy replacement parts. What about the Hydrons? They used to provide cheap transport ships. Their shipping industry is falling apart. Without human navigation systems, their cargo ships keep getting lost. 3 major shipments have gone missing this month. Quindar realized that the galactic economy had been like a complex machine with thousands of moving parts. Humans had been the engineers who kept all the parts working together smoothly. With the engineers gone, the machine was destroying itself. Food shortages were getting worse. The agricultural worlds could not get the equipment they needed to maintain their farms. The industrial worlds could not get the raw materials they needed to build new equipment. The mining worlds could not get the replacement parts they needed to fix their excavation machines. Everything was connected, and everything was failing at once. On Earth, Director He Jin read reports from across human space. The evacuation had been difficult, but humanity was adapting. New colonies were being built in unexplored regions beyond Council territory. New technologies were being developed to replace the trade relationships humans had lost. "Are we doing better than the Council species?" she asked her advisors. "Much better," her economic minister replied. "Our evacuation was planned carefully. We brought our essential technologies with us. We are rebuilding in territory that we fully control." And the Council worlds? Complete chaos. Food riots on 12 worlds. Governments falling apart. Some species are abandoning space travel entirely and returning to their homeworlds. He Jin felt sad about the suffering, but not surprised. Any change in their attitude toward us? Publicly, they still blame us for their problems, but we are receiving private messages from individual leaders asking for help. Such as medical assistance for plague outbreaks, technical support for failing infrastructure, food supplies for worlds facing famine. And our response? We follow your orders. Humanitarian aid for life-threatening situations, but no general assistance. We will not let people die, but we will not fix their government's mistakes. Hyjin nodded. It was a difficult balance, but necessary. The Council had to learn that actions had consequences. Any signs that they might officially request our help? Not yet. Their pride is still too strong. But if things continue to get worse, that pride might break. In the ruins of the Galactic Council chamber, Lumwei floated alone among empty seats. Half the Council members no longer attended meetings because their governments had fallen. Others attended but spent their time arguing about whose fault everything was. No one talked about solutions anymore. Lumwei had watched the galaxy grow, more prosperous and peaceful during humanity's expansion. She had seen wars end, diseases cured, and hungry worlds fed. Now she watched it all collapse. The other Council members had feared human strength, but they had never understood that humanity's real strength was not in their weapons or their technology. It was in their ability to help others succeed. Now, that help was gone, and the galaxy was learning how much it had depended on human cooperation. But the lesson was coming too late for many worlds. 8 years after the human exodus, Chancellor Insu received an encrypted message that would change the galaxy forever. He sat in his office on Earth, older now and wiser from watching civilizations crumble from afar. The message came from Lumwei, but she was no longer just speaking for the ethereals. She represented what remained of the Galactic Council. Chancellor Insu. Her voice was barely a whisper. I am sending this message on behalf of the surviving Council members. We formally surrender to the reality we created. Insu leaned forward in his chair. This was not what he had expected. We do not surrender to human military might, Lumwei continued. We surrender to the truth we refuse to see. We need you. We have always needed you. And we destroyed that relationship because of fear and pride. The message included data files showing the current state of Council space. Insu studied them with growing sadness. 6 of the original 12 Council species no longer had functioning governments. 3 species had abandoned space travel completely and returned to primitive societies on their homeworlds. The Vorthok Empire had broken into dozens of tiny warring territories. Velthara's once mighty throne world was now controlled by warlords fighting over the ruins of crystal cities. The grand palaces where she had once declared human restrictions were now empty shells. The Nixari crystal cities had mostly collapsed. Quindar had been forced to move her people into underground shelters, living like refugees on their own world. The beautiful spires that had reached toward the stars for millennia were now piles of dead crystal. The Corvin mining worlds had been abandoned after their equipment finally broke down completely. Chief Miner Corvin had led his people to agricultural worlds, where they now worked as farmers, having forgotten how to be miners. The Hydron medical crisis had killed nearly half their population before they managed to develop a crude treatment. Morgus had died trying to care for her people, becoming one more victim of the plague that human knowledge could have easily stopped. Insu closed the files and called for Ambassador Teho. The old diplomat arrived within minutes, his hair now completely gray but his eyes still sharp. Have you seen Lumway's message? Insu asked. Yes, Chancellor. I have also received similar messages from individual leaders across what used to be council space. They are begging for help. What kind of help? Everything. Food for the starving worlds, medicine for the sick, technology to rebuild their infrastructure, knowledge to restart their industries. Insu stood and walked to the window overlooking New Seoul, humanity's newest city. The evacuation from council space had been difficult, but it had forced humanity to become more self-reliant. Human technology had advanced rapidly without the need to make it compatible with alien systems. What is your recommendation, Tae-ho? We should help them, but not in the way they expect. Explain. They want us to fix their problems and then go back to the old system where they made decisions and we followed orders. That will not work. Insu nodded. So what do we propose? A complete restart. The old Galactic Council is finished. If we are going to help rebuild their civilization, it must be on the basis of real partnership, not the pretend cooperation they offered before. 3 days later, Tae-ho's ship arrived at the ruins of the old council station. It was a shadow of its former self. Half the station was dark and empty. The grand assembly hall where the council had once met was now used as a refugee shelter. Lumway met him at the airlock. Her glow was very dim now, a sign of deep exhaustion and sorrow. Ambassador Tae-ho, she said softly. Thank you for coming. Thank you for asking, honored Lumway. They walked through corridors that had once bustled with activity from a dozen species. Now they saw only a few scattered aliens, most of them thin and poorly dressed. In the old assembly hall, 6 figures waited around a small table. These were all that remained of the Galactic Council. Velthara was not among them. Neither was Quindar or Morges. Where are the others? Tae-ho asked gently. Dead, missing, or no longer able to speak for their people, Lumway replied. Velthara died in the civil war that destroyed her empire. Quindar disappeared when the last crystal city fell. Morges died in the plague. Tae-ho felt genuinely sad hearing this news. These beings had made terrible decisions, but they had not been evil. They had simply been afraid. What do you want from humanity? He asked the survivors. A Corvan delegate named Cormel spoke first. We want our old lives back. We want the prosperity and peace we had when humans lived among us. That is impossible, Tae-ho replied. You cannot go back to a system based on the idea that human cooperation is dangerous. Then what do you suggest? Asked another delegate. Start over completely. Build a new kind of galactic community based on real partnership and mutual respect. What would that look like? Tae-ho had spent years thinking about this question. No more council that makes decisions for everyone else. No more restrictions based on fear. Each species controls its own territory, but we work together on projects that benefit everyone. And humans would be part of this new community? Only if all species genuinely want us there. We will not force ourselves on anyone ever again. The remaining delegates looked at each other uncertainly. This was not what they had expected. We need time to discuss this among ourselves, Lumway said. Take all the time you need, Tae-ho replied. But understand that humanity has changed too. We have learned to be truly independent. We do not need the galaxy's permission to exist anymore. Over the following weeks, desperate messages arrived from across the former council space. Entire worlds were facing starvation. Diseases were spreading without medical help. Technology was failing with no one to repair it. Director Hye-jin met with her advisors to decide humanity's response. We cannot watch entire species die, she said. But we also cannot return to the old system where we do all the work and get blamed for all the problems. What do you propose? Admiral Yu-jin asked. Humanitarian aid only. We save lives, but we do not rebuild their governments or their economies. That is their responsibility. And if they ask for more help, then they must accept the new partnership terms. Equal voices in all decisions. No species gets to outvote the others on matters affecting their own territory. The humanitarian missions began immediately. Human medical ships arrived at plague worlds. Human agricultural specialists helped restart farming on starving worlds. Human engineers repaired critical infrastructure to prevent total collapse. But the humans made it clear that this was emergency aid, not a return to the old relationship. Some alien leaders complained. They wanted human help without giving humans equal status in return. Those complaints were ignored. Other leaders, mostly younger ones who remembered the prosperity of the human era, began accepting the new terms. They established direct diplomatic relationships with humanity based on mutual benefit rather than the old council structure. Slowly, very slowly, trade began to resume between human and alien worlds. Not the complex, galaxy-spanning network of the old days, but simple agreements between neighboring systems. A year later, Tejo returned to what had once been the council station. It was busier now, with representatives from dozens of worlds trying to rebuild some kind of cooperative government. But it was different this time. No grand pronouncements, no species claiming superiority over others, just practical beings trying to solve practical problems together. "How are the negotiations progressing?" Tejo asked Lumwei. "Slowly but steadily. The younger leaders understand that the old way failed completely. They are willing to try something new. And the others? Some of them are still angry at humanity for abandoning them. They refuse to admit that we pushed you away." Tejo nodded sadly. "Time will teach them, or they will be replaced by leaders who learn faster." "There is something else," Lumwei said. "Several worlds have asked if they can join the Human Confederacy, directly instead of trying to rebuild the old alliance system." This surprised Tejo. "What did you tell them? That they should ask you, not me?" Later that day, Tejo sent a message to Director Haijin. The galaxy was slowly healing, but it was becoming something completely different from what it had been before. The old Galactic Council, with its grand ambitions and petty fears, was dead forever. In its place, a collection of smaller partnerships was growing, based on mutual respect rather than forced cooperation. Humanity was no longer the helpful junior partner trying to prove itself worthy of acceptance. They were an independent power that others approached as equals, not as subjects, or as threats. The price of the Council's silence had been the destruction of their civilization. But from those ruins, something better was finally beginning to grow. The galaxy had learned, too late for many, that strength came not from independence, but from interdependence built on trust and respect. And humanity had learned that sometimes the greatest victory comes not from fighting, but from simply walking away and letting others discover what they had lost.